A good day to you once again, biologists. This is your host for Biology Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, and my name is Blessings. If you like this video, you can WhatsApp +447878384582. Now, our topic today is ordinary level biology, evolution. Now, this is objective 8.18.2 of the ordinary level syllabus. Now, it wants the candidate to discuss how evolution occurs in natural communities and what evolution really is, and the process of natural selection as a possible mechanism for that evolution. Now, Charles Darwin there, who is projected on the image, is only the strongest proponent of this theory. He did not further it. What is evolution? These are changes in one species over time, such that even the genetic pool or the total number of alleles that are found in all the organisms within, if they were aggregated, would also change. So scientists also observe that all species come from a common ancestry, and that all other species that exist have come as a result of the modification of the pre-existing species. So new life also comes into existence over time, bringing diversity, which is the abundance of different forms of life living on Earth. But there is unity, some biochemical, cellular, genetic, and physiological processes or characteristics that are common to all living organisms. So this came about, and one interesting fellow was Lamarck. However, he was misplaced to believe that acquired traits could be inherited. They cannot. So evolution does not come by this Lamarckian idea of acquired traits. Now, Charles Darwin propounded the theory of natural selection. What is selection in itself? It is when there is choosing of an organism because of certain desirable traits in that organism. So it follows two paths, the natural path or the artificial path. The natural path is the focus of today's lesson. Now, what is natural selection? It is when the environment chooses which offspring type survives by allowing spontaneous or random natural choice or course to occur. It takes a long period of time. It has little variation, but it is also prone to diseases, to droughts, and to lower yields. So the offspring that is naturally better adapted to survive by inheriting that trait from the progenitor is the one that reproduces more offspring, and there is gradual development of organisms modifying into more complex species. So natural competition causes selective survival. Now, Darwin observed also that if we consider droughts, say, and leaves of trees would naturally be born well above a certain level, those very tender leaves. It meant that those giraffes that had received long neck genes from their parents were the ones that better survived those droughts, and those short-necked giraffes would naturally be selected against and would cease to propagate, unlike their longer-necked counterparts. Now, Darwin observed on the islands of Galapagos how other finch birds were obtained from the mainland single species of finch. And how did they come about? Well, the single species was the ancestral species, and the dendritic descendant species propagated from or evolved from that. How? By the kind of food that they adapted themselves to feeding on. So the environment provided seeds, and naturally the birds, some finch birds, adapted their mouth parts to feeding on seeds. Some started to feed on flowers, its nectar. So their beaks also developed naturally that kind of nectar sucking mouth parts. And also the insect eaters became adapted. Now, Natural selection exists in nature. Now, naturally, there will be overpopulation in environment and organisms that begin to struggle to survive. Only those that are best fit to survive will propagate and survive. It is survival of the fittest. Only the best adapted survives. If you consider even 2020 right now, even amongst the human population, the advent of COVID-19 is selecting against those that are weak, and those that are selectively adapted will survive. Even the Spanish flus of old also caused modification of the human species to be best adapted. Now, the current human species were the ones that survived the Spanish flu because their genes were modified. So these are the natural phenomenon that occur to exert selective pressure. If you consider even sea anemones that are toxic to other species of organisms that survive in seas, they are not as toxic to the clownfish because the clownfish adapted genes that will make them adapted not to be harmed by the sea anemone. Yet when predators chase the clownfish, it simply hides in those sea anemones, and that is the end for those that pursue it into that sea anemone. That is it about natural selection. So it can take many forms. There is directional type of natural selection where some if you consider let's say moths, they took direction when there was industrialization. There were white moths and black moths, and the white moths would blend with white trees or white tree trunks, and the black moths would stick out. However, due to industrialization that came about, the white moths stuck out on sooty backgrounds, so they were the ones who were predated against now. So it shifted that to be a disruptive towards the right, towards the dark ones that were now propagating. There is also disruptive selection where the white snails would blend with the white sand on the seashore, and the brown sea snails will also blend with the brown rocks. However, the snails that had other variants of colors stuck out against these backgrounds, so they were selected against. So we have disruptive, where the extremes are selected and the middle, the averages are selected against. We also have stabilizing selection, whereas the average is the one that is selected for, and the extremes are selected against. Say sickle cell anemia is considered. You find that those sickle-celled patients are victims, and they die usually around age 16 before they can even propagate. So they are selected against. Even those that are normal human beings without the sickle cell trait are selected against because they suffer malaria from Plasmodium falciparum. Only those that are sickle cell carriers survive best in tropical regions. That's it for today.